Hi, everyone. Throughout this video, I will be talking to you from my perception, what's the correlation in between Maya, like for the Mayans, this so known as a Mesoamerican tribe that inhabited in specific parts of Mexico, what we currently know as Mexico, and also part in Guatemala, Belize, and other places, small places like Honduras, and yet to be revealed. Nevertheless, there is also a very important correlation with a far distant culture, the Hindi culture or the Vedic culture, that also have that word in their dictionary, to say it somehow, which is Maya. The meaning for Maya in the Hindi tradition is illusion. Now, how can this word relate to the Mayans? Because there are also currently other, let's say, groups that carry on to some extent the Mayan knowledge, and that have made some variations regarding to the long count, or what we could know as or name as a calendar. I'm just mentioning this because it's very important to know that these groups that are following and carrying this Mayan information is not the original information regarding to the calendar. Having said this, there is also another correlation that they have done to the Hindi word Maya. And it's called dream spell, the Mayan dream spell. So we have the relation in between a group that is carrying the Mayan knowledge, again, not the original one, and that are also including and that have included some galactic information that had also shown in the glyphs, in the Mayan glyphs, in the ancient structures, where they would name specific constellations as the source to the information that they were bringing. Now, for instance, the Pleiades and Aquila is also an important constellation, again, related to Angkor Wat, which is close by India. So, well, in comparison to Mexico. So then the dream spell. Why dream spell? Because it's an allegory of the matrix, which actually Maya in Spanish means veil or a grid, which can also be related to an illusory grid, a simulated grid. And so then we have three factors, speaking about illusion. Then we have three factors. We have the dream spell factor, we have the Hindi factor, and then we have the Spanish factor. Interesting, right? So what does these three are really connected to the root of the Mayans, which is not even Mayans in frequency. Their name, their original name is Mayha. Mayha, which means people from the water. And I would like to mention also Freddy Silva, because he mentioned in one meeting that we had, and also in one of his documentaries about the Mayans, the mystery of the Mayans, where he mentions the relation also to Mayahat Muaya, which is water. So in Arabic. So then the empathy, the empathic frequency in between lands is superb. That can tell us how even the Babel Tower doesn't longer exist. If you believe it existed physically or as a myth or as a symbolic way, well, it's somehow we are still emitting from land to land same frequencies that are connecting us. Now, the question would be, is the frequency that is uniting us the accurate one for the purpose we choose to achieve? That's the question. And for instance, in this case, if you are trying to relate the Mayans as these scientists that held codes, galactic codes, and that created a matrix, this matrix of simulation, then yes, calling them Mayans is more than accurate. From a unified consciousness, that is true, as we have created that. And we keep on creating the illusion as long as we keep on nourishing it as a transition of evolution. Now, if you choose to connect with the primordial frequency of this civilization that was holding and that holds the codes for the Pleiadian DNA, then my ha would be a more accurate. Now, why is the word so important? Like, does it really matter? Well, it's a transit as well. Imagine that we are frequency, energy, and vibration. And every sound that we emit is a field that we are creating or that we are nourishing. And that sounding has, due to the frequency, has specific tones that continue to nourish specific levels of consciousness. For instance, family. The Latin root to family is slavery. So, yeah, for the unconscious collective, every time that it is said family, they're nourishing an egregor where family for the unconsciousness equals slavery. And if we look at the reality, well, isn't that far away from what the egregor has collected so far, because it's one of the main topics of all the recessive programs that humanity nowadays is facing, basically. The connection to the feminine and the connection to the masculine, which the main representatives or who are embodying that model, that role model, are mama and papa, mom and dad. And that's another topic. The thing is that when we are aware of that, we're able to acknowledge that we are playing, yet what we get to see outside is just an extension of what is within. So, two things. Unless you want to claim that your biological tribe are slaves to you or you are a slave to them, well, maybe you could use another word. Or if you choose to use the same word, just encode it with the meaning that you choose it to mean. And the other thing is about mom and dad, which is actually related to the labor that we were doing here in Mexico, because, for instance, patriarchy um, all these matriarchy and the government and the land and all these institutional and correlations consciously and unconsciously given are quite related to the primordial feminine and the primordial masculine, because universe is simple, is elegant. So the moment that it starts to fractal, to generate, to reproduce and replicate in fractals through the rationality, then it could be um, lost in translation. So, mom and dad are the physical manifestation of what we, of our bridge to be here as humans. Yet the mother and father, and through all this role play and honoring them, of course, the thing is that when it comes to free to like this little bird fly from the nest, emotionally mostly, because that's the thing, emotionally, then it's important to acknowledge that the father and the mother is. Why? Because we are creating our own reality. So, having said this, the word Maya, the frequency, you can even listen to the frequency Maya, 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 Maya. It even disappears. Okay, so it's so subtle that it even disappears from this annihilation. Anyway, so it's very important to, as how I perceive, of course, to be the more precise that we can in the frequency that we emit. Because it comes natural when it comes from the heart, we get to perceive. So, why would the Mayans be related to the illusion in the first place? Well, after the last cataclysm, when tribes coming from Middle East came to what we know today as the America continent, um, there were civilizations already here. We can even see that or listen to stories about the Hopis, how they received wisdom and knowledge from the Shining One, well, in this case, from the Naga, which are the ant men or the ant people, because they were teaching them precisely how to thrive from the cataclysm. So they would even come before the cataclysm. Yet I'm talking now about moving, like moving from house to another, due to the conditions that were generated precisely in that area and where they were coming from. So I'm not going to go fully through the story, yet I'm going to mention codes. Like we have the seven water sages, or like take us to the seven Apkalu, which are the people from the water, let's say mermaids, like Oanes, which were the people from Enki, like this famous being, and whether he was good or whether he was bad or whatever. From the unified consciousness, information just is. We have the power to give the frequency, the intonation that will serve for our sacred purpose of evolution in harmony. So we have seven, and then we have also seven women, which are more related to Lemuria. Let's say the seven water sages or Apkalu would be more related to the Atlantis. And they even talk about Atitlan and Aztlan and even Chicomostoc, which is the mountain of the seven caves, So these seven, keep it in mind. And then we have the seven, YssaH, which is actually the feminine, also related to HUNUH, which are the seven mothers. And that would take us to a Lemurian frequency and even to the Olmecs, which are here in Mexico known as the mother culture, like the mother to all cultures. And here we can see, I'm just to give a fast sweep of what the Olmecs are, these colossal heads and dwarfs, which they don't have pyramids, they don't have, I mean, after like the lineage, then yes, it was related. Some places in Veracruz are related to the Olmecs, not in their primary stages, yet after. Nevertheless, the information is even not by the archaeology community confirmed about the Olmecs, because there's still a culture that there is so much to unveil about it. Yet there are specific things like the bags and these curious seats where they seem to be traveling somewhere. So it's going to say it that way. Not necessary, and not there is no need to express more at this moment. I will be sharing more videos, because from the unified consciousness, it's very important to respect and honor every belief. And because we comprehend that every belief has served a purpose due to the level of consciousness that is embodied at the moment. And the information has always been there. The question is, were we aware of that? Because we can only see what we are capable to reflect from within. So once we evolve and harmonize within, then everything results without. So then this relation after the cataclysm with the Mayans, we know that there have been many matrices. The matrix is the communion of all informational fields configured together, put together, embedded in specific algorithms that create a grid, and that grid generates a reality from the holographic. Like the one behind that you're seeing. Well, this is the T444, which is also related to the DNA and to the upgrade that from the Pleiadian lineage has been done through a specific cube, which was the labor that we received throughout our trip to Mexico, throughout our first trip in Mexico, this unified consciousness and cosmology. So now, if we say that there was a specific matrix before the Mayans existed as we know them nowadays, that matrix would be embedded in the 1260, which is the algorithm used by the Sumerians by the time that, let's say, the human design was set and the 12 zodiacs were sealed. What does that mean? Sealed, 12 zodiacs. Yeah, when we talk about 12 zodiac signs, we are talking about a seal related to the primordial, to the prior matrix. That's why it's so accurate, because it works to some extent. Now, after the cataclysm and the 12 triangles, which are gateways to other dimensions, twisted upside down, then a lot of distortion was generated in between the amnesia, in between the memory, in between what it is, in between what it's not. Why? Because there was a fissure there was a rift in the matrix. That's why before reality, all these ancient cultures, all of them used the 12. So why now is people talking about the 13 or even 14 zodiac signs? What's up with that? Because the 12 was enough at that moment. We continue to evolve. Now, when the Mayans were given all this information to generate another matrix for the first one to regenerate until the moment where both of them would unite and generate another matrix, which is related to a fifth dimensional perception, what we are doing right now. And then that's why there are like this matrix that was created. If we know that there is something in the bottom that it's regenerating, yet you need to move on. Otherwise, if you want to live, you need to move on. This soil will keep, mostly because it's still alive and it's regenerating. You will keep on moving and you will keep on creating experiences based on this soil. So, in order for that reality to exist without altering this first one, another matrix was created. Yet it couldn't be created from this, like this soil, because this space is occupied. So it only could be created through an illusion so that both could handle the same space. Space, time, the illusion of time. Now, when humanity tried so hard to keep this without noticing the configuration that the Mayans, the Maya, were bringing to master this time of illusion, then the linear time started to create an abysm in between space and time from the consciousness, from the cognitive state or within the cognitive state of humanity. So another fissure, and it's linear. So then when we come to connect with the primordial frequency of this cyclic system, then we go beyond the linear time to the swirl, to the Ouroboros. That's why were so related to the serpent, the Ouroboros, because there's the handling of the time, the regeneration. Everything is there. So, if you want to know more about the Mayan long count, to go beyond, or the Maya long count, to go beyond that immediate correlation for the Mayans to the illusion. And another thing, sacrifice, which I also share in the title. Why sacrifice? Why, when we talk about Mesoamerican cultures, two main things come to the mind. Firstly, pyramids and sacrifice. Well, there is much more to that. And mainly because the Mayans wouldn't really sacrifice. They were showing what is through the head, behead someone. It would mean to allow or show the other the way without the false mind, the illusion. Yet, it's like daily basis. If you hold to something, then you cannot receive what the universe has already for you. So it's important to let go to receive all the blessings that are here. If we go beyond the stories of victim and victimary and victim and the victim, then we are able to create a new story. What if we choose to believe that these were magnificent civilizations that were sharing all this wisdom, all this accuracy, for now to be a better present? I'm not saying about denying the facts, like if scientifically something is proven. The thing is that when you tune into the scientific proofs about sacrifice and like it's not 100%, and not even in the Mayans. You even feel the frequency when you go there. It's different than when we visit for instance, the where the Aztecs were, and yet there is also something very important to acknowledge about them in order to unite the wisdoms and conquer. Conquer what? Well, this is not a battle. We're talking about occupying our space in our own sovereign land. So yes, there were ceremonies and there were rites. However, they did not bloodshed others as an act. And if it was at some moment, there is a lot to also order in the state of awareness in order to generate a quantum leap. Because if we get to reproduce, we lived, and we are creators of our own reality, then let's recreate the sublime things that we once did and that we are already doing, that they already are. As we get to choose, we choose the hell. We already chose our destination before even stepping in this body, in this planet. Now we get to choose within this body the how. And love the heart and the mind. If we choose to do it. Offering the heart. Yeah. When we love, we offer the heart, the ones we love. Not literally, yet we put our heart and our wholeness in the experience for miracles to happen. Feed and nourish our divinity, our divinity. To be free, free to intimate, to be our greatness. Simple, in harmony. Whatever we choose to be, the more conscious we are, more coherent, Having said this, thank you for watching this video. Until the next time.